It's just loading. Sorry, it's going around in circles right now.
Oh, it's telling me live. Hello.
All right, hello. So we've got the Backbenchers podcast here. So if you're at home, you can grab a quencher and join the adventure as the backbenchers backbend into who's got the backbone versus who's the backbreaker. I'm Mylo, and we've got a host here as well, Josh.
Hello. Yes, I'm Josh. Happy to be here, and it's exciting to get to watch a new fan-made season.
Yeah. I think it would be nice if we just quickly go over us two, what our interest in is Survivor, and especially Canberra Survivor, what we know about it, just to get people settled into us a little bit. So I moved to Canberra early last year, but I've been a Survivor fan long before then. Someone said, hey, you're moving to Canberra, how about you check out Canberra Survivor, or Survivor Canberra, I should say, and sent me a link to the first season, and I just loved it. So I'm here doing season 2, doing Edgic for it as well, and it's turning out to be a lot of fun. So hopefully the season turns out well as well.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it's going to turn out well. The first episode was a party. I'm Josh. I've been a Survivor, huge super fan, probably I don't know, the first live season I watched was Token Teams. So that was in
2008. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So since then I've just been obsessed. And then, I met through a friend, Kyle and Brian, who do Backyard Survivor. So that's the WA fan-made version. And then I was on season 4 of that. And then since then, just got into the sort of fan-made community a bit. So here I am.
Here we are. So what we were going to do is we'll just do a bit of a recap of this first episode, and then we'll go into a special interview. We've got some special guests that we've got to bring in a bit later, so stay tuned for that. But first off, Josh, what was your opening thoughts on this episode coming into it? What were you thinking?
Yeah, so from the beginning onwards, or overall episode?
Oh, either or. Just when you were starting in the episode, what were you thinking about? What were you looking at?
Okay, well, the first thing I thought was production quality increase, huge from the first season. So that was very noticeable and very exciting to see. We love to see something progress and get better as time goes by. So that certainly was my first initial thought. And then, just getting the intros to the different contestants and characters is very exciting. And I think this cast shows a lot of promise. And based on my first impressions from the Meet the Cast, a lot has changed, actually. Some people I was very pleasantly surprised with. Others, maybe not. What about you?
Oh, I was very intrigued by the theme in particular going into the season. When I heard the words ultimate sacrifice, had a lot of questions. It wasn't an easily explained theme until we saw it, but I'm really looking forward to it. When I heard some of the cast members that were going to be on it, I was reasonably excited about some of them. We got a really, I think, fun and diverse in terms of personality cast here, so it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. So were you did you know some of the cast before the season, from the community or something?
Yeah, I was familiar with a few different people like Ma, Nick. I knew Soph as well. There's a few different ones. I'll probably get to them as we go through the episode, but even the ones I didn't know, there was some like James who stood out to me right away as wow, this person's going to be a fun player to look out for. So we've got to keep an eye on him.
Definitely.
All right, so I think, let's just get into the recap of the episode. Going in, we get a few people talking about what their thoughts on the ultimate sacrifice are. We have Mal saying that he's not sure how it's going to play out. We hear a bit of Joseph's backstory. He used to live in Kazakhstan, and then he didn't have access to TV aside from a cable, I think, in the South African embassy, is what he said. Quite an interesting story to set us up there.
Yeah, I liked that. It was, definitely sort of a name drop of how he's traveled and how life experienced he is. So I liked that he, it was a good little character sort of trait of himself. And yeah, it linked into Survivor. I thought that was very interesting. It did make me think, like, was he watching like Survivor South Africa from the South African embassy? Like what version was he watching?
Yeah,
I don't know. Probably US and South Africa, I would
that's a
assume.
great question, actually. I didn't even think about what Survivor he was watching from there. We maybe will have to ask him if we ever get the chance.
Yeah, that's what I
So,
thought.
that was awesome hearing that. And then we get to hear a little bit about some people's strategies. Johanna says she's going to be very social, very friendly, might make it easily to manipulate people. It's interesting. And James is straight up saying he's going to push someone in the water if he has to win the game, which I would like to see, actually. I think that'd be interesting seeing some people getting pushed around. And then I think after that, we just go straight into the match chat with all the contestants.
Yeah, so I thought what James said about the pushing thing, it reminded me of season 1. Wasn't there like a race for the idol and Brad got like pushed?
Oh, Keegan and Brad, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that was a little true fans reference to that moment, I thought maybe. Yeah, then we go to the match chat. We heard from a couple people. I think was Nick the first person we heard from.
Yeah. I think he was definitely one of the people who's like, it's all business here. I'll sacrifice friendships if I have to win the game, which is a bold statement to stay in front of everyone else at the very first moment you're meeting. But yeah, we get to see a little bit of people's backstories, a little bit of their characters. One that stood out to me was Grace instantly saying she wants to be evil, nasty, and not a nice player. That one definitely was a bit of a wow moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Who stood out to you?
Yeah, Grace saying that. Loved that. I mean, I love a good villainess. So, brought me vibes of Corinne, one of like players, but loved her. So yeah, I would like to see that side from Grace actually. And someone else who I thought had a good little intro moment was Banfield. Like the stabbing people in the back kind of thing. I liked that.
That's an excellent hoodie, honestly. Perfect to wear for a Survivor game.
Very.
Who else did I remember from that first bit? From Win You, Mel's story about being a buyer and how she would use that to her advantage. I thought that was quite cool. That's a good little character moment. And then Haley as well saying that she wants to win. She wants to get the crown next to her name, which if she does win, the editors better put a crown next to her lower chyron.
Very, yes, potentially foreshadowing vibes, could be one of those moments. Well, you're going to be the edgic expert, so you can analyze that. Reminding me, of like Pia in Australian Survivor was like, exactly. I'll either be the first one voted out or I'm going to win. So could be a moment. You never know.
Yeah. And then what else? We hear Dan and Liv say that they're getting a clue, or not a clue, they're getting a note to read back at their camps about a twist of some sort. People aren't sure what that is. And then we head straight over, I think, to Cooperdang first.
Yes, I believe so. And the mad sort of dash, someone Usain bolting away for the Love Rocks.
Yeah. So first, Joanna, I think, reads it out. She says, Love Rocks, it's like one of the main twists of the season. There's going to be 4 at first, and then once there's 4, then those 4 people look for the next 3, and then 2, until eventually only one person gets the last Love Rock, and they win an advantage for themselves.
Yeah.
I personally love this twist. I think this is a really fun one, but I'm curious what your thoughts on it are.
Yeah, I liked it too. I thought, I don't know, I thought it was funny how the explanation, it kind of sounded a bit overcomplicated to what it was. And then I liked the confessional when it just cut to Michael, just cutting to the chase, explaining it really succinctly. I was like, yeah, Michael actually seemed to do that a lot. He's very good at, just sort of wrapping things up and just getting to the point. I like that.
I'm not sure if you know US Big Brother, but there's a competition called OTEV, and almost every time they do it, they say in the confessional, it's like musical chairs. And that instantly reminded me of Michael saying, it's like musical chairs, you get like one less as you go on.
I've
So,
seen a little bit of US Survivor. I know not much, but the basics. I watched Big Brother Canada a couple of seasons of that.
yeah, a lot of people say that is better. But yeah, as you said earlier, there was then a mad scramble. Grace instantly runs off, which causes some suspicion from a few of her tribe mates. But also,
Yeah.
everyone is just searching, as far as we see, really.
Yeah, and then obviously this twist is sort of I think in a lot of fan-made seasons, because players tend to stick together, no one wants to break up. This was a game mechanic, I think, invented to cause people to split up so those strategic conversations can begin, because otherwise, if there was nothing for the tribe to do, people would just probably sit around and do nothing, and that's boring. And that's what I liked about this episode. It wasn't boring. There was a lot of strategic content, and yeah, it started off things a bit spicy.
Spicy for sure. I'm not sure how much you remember of season 1, but the Red Tribe that time, they sat together for a lot of the early game just because there wasn't a lot of things to go do. And so I think this Love Rocks twist is great for splitting people up and getting people having different conversations. So Grace initially runs off, and then she kind of admits to herself that she's a bit isolated from the rest of the group. She's not with all the conversations right now. She speaks to Johanna about it a little bit, but then Grace has a confessional about Ma, and then we start to see a bit of Ma's story and Ma's strategy coming in.
Yeah, so a little bit about Grace first. I really appreciated that, she ran off, probably got a little bit overexcited, but then she had the self-awareness to realize, like, oh, I've made a mistake. Everybody's talking and I've isolated myself. So I think, going forward, she can maybe think before she maybe acts a bit hastily, sorry. And sort of use that self-awareness a little bit better. But yeah, about Ma. Loved Ma. Loved
Who doesn't?
sort of drama of her. And I liked the different scenes getting linked together when she kept saying, like, oh, do you want to be my friend? And then people were saying, like, oh, they're a bit iffy about Ma. And it really reminded me of Survivor Edge of Extinction, when all the new players, they put their stories together and they realized that Aubrey's manipulating them with the exact same phrase. And it just reminded me exactly of that scene. So I'm like, I hope people don't put their stories together and then the target lands on Ma.
Yeah, I was a little bit nervous when I first saw that scene, thinking, oh my gosh, Ma, she's not going to be the first boot, is she? Surely not. And, spoiler alert for this episode, she was not the first boot, thankfully. In fact, she seems to be in a good spot. But this early socialization definitely painted red flag for some people. Banfield spoke about Ma being a bit too obvious, a bit too friendly. So we'll see how that plays out, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And another moment was that I found a bit like, whoa, where's this coming from? Was when Nick highlighted that Sophie, like that he sees Sophie as a big threat.
Yeah.
That seemed to come out of left field for me. But what were your thoughts on that? And then I have some thoughts on Sophie as well.
It was interesting because the alliances that we were getting set up with, it was Michael and Banfield on one side, and then Malcolm and Joanna on the other side, and then Nick, Ma, and Sophie in the middle. So you kind of thought, oh, that's like a core trio there. But then you have Nick saying, oh, I think Sophie's actually my biggest threat. So I'm not sure if that's planting seeds for future episodes, or maybe that was just an initial thought of like, I can't take Sophie to the end. But I don't think it's a bad idea to be thinking about that sort of thing really early on when you're making those initial alliances, to think, who would I want to be long term with? So I don't think it's bad for Nick to do this, but I'm not sure if he will act on it right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's smart to be thinking that far ahead. Maybe it's a little too soon, but as long as it's only in his head and to the camera, it's not to other people, because I think, when you haven't even voted somebody out to be starting to think about the end game already, that will just flip
premature.
him.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on Sophie though?
Yeah, so in my initial little rankings thing, I was quite low on Sophie. And then although Sophie didn't get that much content this episode, I'm rooting for her. I love the confessional when she said that her life is a bit boring. So she's really excited just to play the game and just sort of get involved. Like that for me, I could see her becoming a big player. That could be foreshadowing her having like a huge game, becoming a threat, and then making it really far. So I just really like that idea when somebody just comes into the game, gets really involved, and just goes, gives it their all. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what could come from Sophie. Yeah.
Nah, me too. I definitely like when people are there a bit for an adventure, just to have like a lot of fun, maybe outside the comfort zone a little bit. That's really exciting to see, rather than someone who's like, oh, I'm awesome at camping. This is going to be a walk in the park. You like to see people, have a new experience potentially. The only other target that I think was really named on this tribe, at least in this segment, was Banfield. Mal said they didn't really trust Banfield, a bit sketchy on him.
Yes, and I can see why, I don't think he told the others that he's a salesperson. Didn't he say he's like a computer programmer or something like that?
Don't remember the exact job title they gave, no.
Yeah, I think he kept it a little bit quiet. So, like the salesperson can get a rep of being like a bit of a wheeler dealer. So even though I don't think he said his job, maybe people cottoned on to that side of his personality already. So yeah, but no, I think he's in an okay position. I think he would more need to watch out when it comes to a swap kind of situation.
Yeah, as of the ending of that segment, it definitely seemed like Grace was probably the one who would have gone, or at least was a main target if they went to tribal. But we won't know now because we can move into Win You, I suppose.
Yeah, well, when sorry, my cat's just popping up.
No, I love it.
When Ma was talking about the different tribe divisions, Grace wasn't even mentioned. So that does not bode well for Grace. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's mainly it for Kubadang, unless you have any other thoughts on them.
No, I think that's about it.
All right, so moving on to Win You, they get the exact same information on the Love Rocks. We just see Mel like finishing the readout. The final person gets the Love Rock. Takes them a moment, and then James says, all right, let's all head off and start looking for these Love Rocks. However, they also can't find any Love Rocks either.
Yeah, so yeah, that was a little bit well, not awkward, but it sucks. I wanted someone to find at least some, but no, it's good because people split up, just like on the other tribe. The strategic talk started to happen, and then we saw some more groups form, in a pretty similar way actually to the other tribe, but this time the more isolated person seemed to be Sam.
For Sam, it wasn't necessarily so much that she was an obvious target. She wasn't a threat. It was more that she was just distancing herself from the rest of the tribe. At least that's what it seemed like. Everyone else was starting to form bonds and that sort of thing. Although Sam did form a bond with Simon. That seemed to be a thing throughout the episode. Sam and Simon were working together at least a little bit. The main connections that I think we saw James start to pull a few people together in this segment. And then who else? I think Hayley was working her social charm on a few people in the group setting as well. Those are the two that stood out to me in that group.
Yeah, John also, he was definitely getting involved in the game. He did have some choice words to say about Simon, which were hilarious. Yeah, and then Mel, I think wasn't focused on too much in this initial segment. No. Obviously, Mel got more screen time later on. But yeah, I do see what I perceived to be like a core sort of group of 5 or 6 people sort of joining together there with, I can sort of see a hierarchy in my head that I think is going to be true going forward.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like people like Sam, Simon, even a little bit of Anna were a bit more on the outs, and then like John, James, Haley, Mel were a bit more of the core. But that could definitely change in the next episodes. We'll see. But that's just where we were ending up before we went into the immunity challenge.
Yeah, exactly. And then, for the challenge, we had, the return of the tug of war.
Classic tug of war. It's a good way to get people really angry at the other tribe. Like, I just want to rip this rope, get it as far over to me as I can. And it was actually somewhat of a dramatic challenge as well. It wasn't a blowout because, what was it, Winu started out winning, but then it went over to Kubadang at the end.
Yeah, when they like 4-0 or something, and then
something crazy like that,
all the way back, I was like, well, it was wild. And I thought it was pretty cool that, it was sort of like, I don't know, like a bit of a legacy kind of vibe with Grace competing, just like, Janine did in season 1, her mum. And then Simon as well, with Carleen from season 1, his wife. So I like
multiple previous season connections. I think it came down to Simon and Banfield as like whoever wins this one wins the challenge. And Banfield won it for Kubadang, which is quite exciting for him and the whole tribe. They all get immunity. I think they got a reward of food as well. And they're safe for the first. They're not going to be the first food, which is great for them. And Soph, that was one of the goals that she mentioned as well.
Yeah, I was really happy that Kubadang tribe didn't lose. Although, I was scared for my favourites from Winu. But I'm glad with the outcome. But I think the tribes seem pretty even. So I think we'll see a lot of back and forth, during the pre-merge in terms of immunity wins.
I agree. Although, of course, a swap, whenever it comes, will play a part in changing that up. But at the moment, I do agree. I think we will see at least both of them go before a swap, is my guess. So at the end of the challenge, though, here's where the main twist, Ultimate Sacrifice, comes in. Kubadang has to select someone from Winu to go to the Ultimate Sacrifice. We kind of see them pull off to the side, and then they ultimately chose Mel. Well, did you have any thoughts on picking Mel?
I think they were just probably playing into the stereotype of like, oh, the older woman is normally the easiest target, and just playing into that. So, it was a bit maybe of a stereotypical sort of decision. But no, I'm glad it was Mel because we got to see a lot from Mel. And Mel's someone that I've sort of seen online in like the fan community. So I was like rooting for Mel coming into the season. So it was perfect for me as a viewer.
Yes, definitely. I'm excited to see what Mel can deliver. And for this last half of the episode, she was pretty entertaining. I'll say that much. She really was exciting to watch. Mel also gets a decision, though. She chooses someone from the other tribe. Or I guess Mel kind of turned to the rest of her tribe and said, hey, who do you think we should pick? We didn't really see why they picked Michael, but they ended up picking Michael to go with her as well.
Yeah, I'm unsure why he was the choice. I thought, maybe they might pick somebody who seems like they might be more on the bottom, but you never know. Maybe they thought that about Michael, but as a viewer, we can obviously see that's not the case. So I don't know their reasoning. Interesting.
Maybe we will find out at some point. But we have Mel and Michael going to the Ultimate Sacrifice, and they're learning at the same time that we're learning what the Ultimate Sacrifice is all about. What's this main twist of the season? So they come together, they're reading the little note over how the twist will work. And it basically says that, one of them can receive an advantage, and they have to decide if they're going to go for the advantage. They both get a choice if they want to go for it.
Yeah, so I liked that. It wasn't an well, at least the mechanism of deciding who gets to participate. It wasn't, overly complicated, like risking votes and betting on if other people are going to risk it too and all that too much. So it was good. It was just a simple rock draw to decide. And then the twist itself, that was a bit of a like, okay, this is full on. I can see why they released the teaser before the season so people can get used to what it's going to be. But yeah, I loved the twist, and I loved the fact that, the theme of sacrifice, whatever they choose, they're going to get punished. In terms of, the higher the advantage, the more the disadvantage that you're going to cop, basically, later on. So yeah, I think it was very bold of Mel to go straight for the super idol, but it was also very smart, I think. Yeah, what did you think?
Yeah, it's a tough decision, and here's the fun part of us being backbenchers. We can sit on the side and make our own calls about what we would have done if we were there, but we weren't there. So who's to say what we would have done? I think a super idol, there's definitely big reasons for it, big reasons against. Since Michael read all of them out, he, I think, knows what was available there. So if the super idol's missing next time, eventually the stories could be corroborated and then people would know she has a super idol, could be dangerous. But super idol is also the most powerful thing you can get. So it just basically gives you a free round to survive if everyone votes for you. So I don't know, it's a tough decision, but I'm happy with what Mel decided. I think it worked out for her, at least this episode.
Yeah, definitely. And my thoughts on that, I wonder, well, I'm going to assume, I actually don't know, that there's only like one super idol. So because Mel took it, is that now completely off the table?
That's what I assumed when I was listening to it.
Yeah, because then if the other tribe can't get a super idol, then Mel, like, that's a huge thing for Mel to do, and she's copying, these extra votes. But and I have to give, oh, thanks, Mel. Have to give one of my friends credit. This isn't totally my idea, but one of my friends made the comment, and I was like, oh, that is so smart. Mel could go back to the tribe, tell them, oh, I've got the super idol, keep me in, I can use it for our protection. And I took it so the other tribe doesn't have a chance to get one. So she could really play into the fact that she's, made the ultimate sacrifice for her tribe. But then if they keep her going forward into a swap or the merge, that for any of her alliance, she can play that super idol as a get out of jail free card for anybody.
Totally. And we'll see how it turns out. That is actually potentially a smart strategy, though, if she uses it to build trust and maybe carry some favor with her tribe. I think this will be a fun twist to see play out over the coming episodes, seeing what every player makes, what decision people make when they go into it.
Yes, for sure. It's going to be very interesting, and I can't wait to see the reaction after those extra votes were showing up. John's face was so funny. He was like, that meme of the woman with like all the equations everywhere. It was good.
Yes. So I think now we go into the strategizing for Win You. They're all together. It's the usual. Oh, we were really close. We just lost the challenge by a little bit. And then it's time to do a little bit of scrambling before Mel arrives of who should go home. I think it's James and a group of 4 that go off to the water well. James proposes it to all of them, but Sam says, no, I'm good. Guess she didn't need water, or she just didn't want to come. So that kind of puts James off of Sam, says, why did Sam not come?
Yeah, I think that was a huge mistake. Like, maybe Sam isn't a big Survivor fan, but, I think on most fan-made seasons, the majority of people probably are kind of super fans. And, like, if somebody says, let's do this, let's vote for this person, do you want to work with me? You just say yes to anything. Like, everybody knows that. I don't know. I just couldn't believe she wouldn't go for water with him. I was just like, what is this? What is happening?
Well, it's definitely an interesting strategy. I do think Sam's probably not too familiar with Survivor, but still, there's still some discussion like, oh, we probably shouldn't put votes on Mel because she might have something. So it's not as if Sam is at least like the obvious boot, at least not yet, before Mel comes back.
Yeah, for sure. And another comment, like Sam was just so sweet, but yeah, I think she made a comment something along the lines of like, oh yeah, I'm distancing myself a little bit to allow other conversations to happen. And it's like in Survivor, you don't want conversations happening when you're not there. Like, go get involved. Yeah, those were some of my thoughts. But yeah, we saw. So from my perception, it seems like James is very up in front and sort of running the tribe with John as his sort of second in command. That's kind of the vibe I got.
I agree with that so far. It definitely seems like a bit of a power duo, but James is at least like a bit of the alpha, sort of projecting on other people. John's strategic on his side, working with him. I think after that waterwell scene, pretty quickly we see Mel come back to the group, and she has to explain her story about what happened to her while she was gone at the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, so John seemed to question it a little bit, thought it was a bit too convoluted. But I think in a way, it's like it was so convoluted that it almost had to be true. Like someone couldn't just make up all those different components of it, I feel like. But yeah, I hope he believes Mel, because I think I see that core alliance of James, John, Mel, Haley, and maybe a little bit of Anna as sort of, the core alliance in that tribe going forward. I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. Those four do seem to be the most prominent strategic players. Anna is also kind of in there, but people are also saying maybe Anna should go this round. So I don't want to say she's in with them just yet.
And
but
Joseph, well, Joseph. I was forgetting about Joseph.
Yeah,
He was
Joseph was quite a presence at the end of the episode, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting that John didn't fully believe Mel's story, because Mel was actually telling the truth.
Yeah.
Actually, she didn't lie at all, really. She just didn't say what she got, but she told the truth for everything else.
Yeah, it was 100% true. And I mean, when Mel was like, I think it was James straight up asked, oh, what do you have? And she's like, don't know, I'm not saying. I thought that was very bold of Mel to just say that and stick to it. I was thinking I would definitely just get that core alliance that I said I perceived in my head earlier, and I would probably have just been honest and said, look, I've got a super idol, keep me in and I'll use it to our advantage. Done. And then she'll be safe until the swap, and everyone would be massively incentivized to keep Mel.
Yeah, I think that definitely could have worked, but I also understand generally why you'd want to keep advantages to yourself, because they are just such an obvious target. People might say, oh, we'll just throw votes on Mel just to get rid of the advantage, and then we have the option later. Didn't happen this episode, though. This episode, once Mel comes back and they get to strategizing, it didn't really seem like Mel was on the table for really anyone. Anna mentioned that she didn't trust Mel, but most other people were kind of saying Sam, Anna, or Joseph as potential options to go.
Yeah. But Anna did vote for Mel, didn't she, at the end?
Yeah, so Anna had a confessional where she's like, I don't fully trust Mel, but it didn't seem like anyone else was really following along with that plan.
Yeah. I mean, Anna doesn't have to own up to it. She could just blame that stray vote on Sam or something. But then Sam voted for Joseph. So then who voted for Joseph? So I don't know. It could end up like a house of cards of lies that's going to fall down. I don't know. I'm excited to see, though.
Did anything else happen in this episode? Like at the end, trying to think before we went into Tribal. James and John came together. They seemed to be deciding which way they were going to go, and it seemed likely they were going to go with Sam, but they did mention Anna and Joseph were the other names as well that they could potentially do. And then I think that was pretty much it before we head into Tribal to see where the cards fall, I suppose.
Well, yeah, one thing I do remember is I think it was James sort of strong-arming Simon into voting Sam. When they were walking, didn't he like kind of just come over and be like, do this and that kind of thing? So I thought, yeah, from an obvious alpha male who, you know, isn't used to people telling him what to do or whatever, he did get told by James. So I think, yeah, James is coming out as a big threat, definitely going forward. So let's see if anybody would, you know, want to usurp him in the future. I don't know.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Going into tribal council questions, the ones that I remember, there was definitely a couple about Mel. Is Mel telling the truth? Can we trust what she's saying? Mel, what did you tell people? Just kind of going over that a little bit more and seeing if people were potentially going to target Mel or not. That's what I really remember from the questions. Did you have any points that you remembered from those?
No, pretty much the same. I think, you know, it was the first tribal. People weren't gonna come out all guns blazing. You know, people, yeah, you know, you don't want to draw a big target to yourself that early on unless you really, you know that you're on the bottom. Yeah, so I think, yeah, it was good, but yeah, it wasn't too chaotic. We might
No.
see that going forward when more advantages come into play from the sacrifice zone.
Yeah, when more advantages and maybe the tribal dynamics switch up and there's people coming after each other. But for this one, it was pretty relaxed. Everyone was answering quite safely as we head into the vote.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the vote, we see 3 different ones. We saw Simon vote for Sam, saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't want to do this, but I got told to." We saw Sam vote for Joseph, and we saw Anna vote for Mel. Those were the 3 that we saw, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, and then we saw some phantom votes coming for Mel. So yeah, people are going to be extremely confused by that. John, I think John will be coming back to camp and will be, well, like a demon trying to find out what the hell happened because his face, yeah, he was shook.
Yeah, so they're reading the votes out. I think the final vote tally comes to 6 for Sam, 4 for Mel, a lot more than people were expecting, and then 1 for Joseph, which means Sam is first person voted out of the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, that sucks. It's always sad to be the first boo. And Sam was super sweet, but yeah, I think she just maybe, was a bit in over her head in the situation. And yeah, it was sad.
Yeah. Sam, in her final words, she says, I kind of saw it coming. I was expecting, I heard my name a little bit. And her final word, like her very final sentence, which I found interesting, was saying that she really liked Haley and was rooting for Haley. So Haley's already got good social game. Even though Haley voted for Sam to go, she's still getting her support.
Yeah. Yeah, Haley's been playing a very good social game. I think she's been sort of, in that middle spot in their tribe, not as out in the front as James, but, not as distant as Sam was. So I think Haley's definitely in that middle ground, which is, a very good place to be early on.
Yeah, totally agree. This first episode, I thought it was awesome. I loved seeing, the first introduction to these players, these characters, who's forming bonds, who's already targeting each other. I think there's going to be a lot going forward. There's a lot of different things that could happen, a lot of storylines. And yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes, I suppose.
Same here. I can predict some power struggles coming forward. People on the outs, people that might want to usurp power, people that might want to flip. So yes, I'm very excited for episode 2.
Yes. Alrighty. So as promised, I wrote down somewhere we are doing an interview today. We don't have Sam for an interview today. We will try and get eliminated contestants in the future. But today we do have 2 very, very special guests. I'll just check to make sure they're good to go, and then we'll have them on. All right, everyone, welcome in Dan and Liv.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello,
How are you guys?
Always exciting to start a new season, and we're happy to have you on our podcast as well.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. And I've got to say, Mylo, I'm so impressed how you did that intro because it was such a mouthful and you just said it like it was nothing. I was sitting there like, oh my God, that's like impressive. Good job.
We have to practice our lines about 450,000 times and we still stuff it up. So
yeah, you've seen our bloopers.
Well
We can't recite
the
lines,
bloopers,
so.
they're iconic. Gosh.
It's mostly Liv. I'm pretty good, but Liv
Hey.
struggles a bit. So
hey.
hey,
There's always going to be the comedic relief, I suppose.
yeah, that's why we have you there, Liv. You're the comedic relief. No, just kidding.
I'll take
No.
it. And I just hold the urn. That's it.
All right. One of the first questions that I was going to ask, I was thinking before we even get to this episode, what was your thoughts going into the season, especially with the twist? Because I believe you two worked on that somewhat. So what was your thoughts going into how it was going to play out?
Yeah, this was definitely, I think, Liv. I think we're both fans of the old school Survivor, aren't we? We're not big on advantages or twists, really. So it's kind of funny that we're doing a season like this, I think.
Yeah, I'm massively old school. I'm not a huge fan of twists, if I'm perfectly honest. But anyway, sorry, Dan, I interrupted you. Keep going.
No, that's okay. Thanks for backing me up there. I think this was just our season to just be creative, throw a lot at the wall, and just have fun with it. We knew this cast was going to be a big cast of players, and we just wanted to see how they maneuvered through a game with these kind of twists. I think the adage is being every advantage can be a disadvantage, and just seeing how they deal with that, because in this specific season, every advantage is obviously some sort of disadvantage as well. So we just wanted to see how the players maneuver through that. And see if they lie, see if they, go hard, see if they go safe. And just see how they deal with it. I think it was just interesting to see.
It's kind of fun to have those twists as well, and kind of watching people panic a bit and squirm and how that changes how they behave. I think it brings out a different side of people that you probably don't see when there aren't those things happening.
Yeah, and I think for us, it's fun to watch people get paranoid. Just as hosts, we want to be entertained as well, and just watching people be paranoid, people being confused by different vote numbers. I think that's just fun for us, and hopefully it's fun for the viewers as well to watch that journey.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I think watching people deal with advantages, everyone will deal with them in a different way. And so it'll be a lot of fun. It's not too overbearing. It's not everyone gets an idol. It's everyone gets a chance to get something, but it's going to come with a cost as well. So I'm looking forward to see how it plays out. But right now, it's been awesome to watch. So you guys as hosts don't see everything, but you see, at least this episode, you saw 3 different parts. You were there with them at the mat. You saw them at the challenge, and then you saw them at Tribal. So at the mat, did you have any thoughts? Did anyone stand out to you as being potentially a big character, someone to keep an eye on?
If I'm completely honest, there's shit, don't screw this up. Okay, what are we doing? What am I saying next? It is so stressful. So I'm probably not the right person to ask.
It's funny because it is such a blur on the weekend. You can have a guess at who's going to be a big player and everything, but in the moment it is such a blur. I think probably the person that stuck out to me probably was Simon, to be honest. I don't know if I thought he was going to be the world's greatest player, but I could just tell that he was going to be a personality. So that was my thought going into the game. I think Simon's just going to be a personality. He can ruffle some feathers, or rustle some feathers. And I think just him saying, "Oh, I'm ready to sacrifice anything purple." I just thought, okay, this is going to be great. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to be fun. I'm just excited to see what he does going into the game. Not sure if he's going to, win the game or if he's going to crash and burn. And I think either way, his journey is going to be exciting regardless. So to me, that's what stood out.
Yeah, no, Simon, I infamously didn't put Simon very high on my character rating before the season, but he did surprise me. He was quite a big character this episode, one of the biggest ones aside from Mel. And yeah, I think it was definitely bold of him to say outright, yeah, don't care about those purples, don't need to worry about them.
Yeah, I wonder
So,
if he realized that there might be a swap or a merge coming up where he actually has to work with these people. I was like, oh, okay, I don't know about that.
I think there's some friendly banter usually at the start, though.
Yeah.
Tribe versus tribe. You just say, "Oh, we don't care about that other tribe. We're just going to stay with our tribe." But then things mix up and things change later on. The
100%.
immunity challenge, tug of war, bit of a throwback to season 1. What was your thoughts about bringing that challenge back first? Were you for it? Were you thinking this will be like just a tradition for Survivor Canberra?
Well, not a tradition, but I think in season 1, like we all saw, like it really started with a bang with Janine and Lara going at it. And like, I remember like Liv, we were so surprised at how quickly everyone got into it and they were just so aggressive going into it. And so I think for like me, I was like, oh, let's just start off with that same bang, like get everyone's blood flowing, get like the adrenaline flowing, and like just start setting the tone for the season.
I think it's also as a first challenge. I mean, it's a quick weekend, right? Like things happen quickly. And so as a first challenge, it's good to just, everyone knows what they're doing. There's no like, oh, kind of how do we do this or whatever, like having to explain things. And it's just kind of everyone's amped up to like get into some competition. And yeah, I think it sets a bit of a tone kind of thing, just kind of sets a bit of a tone. It's fun.
Yeah, it's like as much as physical as you can get without doing physical challenges, like, you know, pushing each other over or anything like that. So, you know, being physical gets people amped up straight away. And I think that was just a great way to set the tone in season 1 and also in season 2 as well.
Did having Grace and Simon on the cast influence the decision to have that same challenge as well?
No,
kind of became an icon in the challenge.
Yeah, like I think like maybe not so much, you know, Grace being Jean's daughter, but because like everyone responded so well to Janine, you know, just dominating that challenge as an older woman. Not that she's old, an older woman in Survivor. And so like we did think like that could, you know, make some new heroes, some new villains. Like it's a great challenge to, you know, get those personalities and get those, you know, get those moments going. So yeah, not so much about Janine and Carleen and being that legacy, but just a fun way to sort of, you know, create some new characters, I guess.
Yeah. I had another question. How did you decide the weightings of like, you know, how powerful an advantage is versus the disadvantage you're going to get?
Yeah, so that was a tough one. Yeah, sorry. That was a tough one. I personally am not a fan of a super idol. Again, which is funny that we have it in there. I think super idols is overpowered. I think as a Survivor fan, we all know that. But I think like if we're gonna go ham on this theme and having an advantage and having people get disadvantaged by it, then having a super idol meant that we could just go crazy with a disadvantage as well. We could do this crazy disadvantage because if someone's going to take a super idol, then expect something a really crazy disadvantage in return. And then obviously it's weighted from there. So it goes down to, you know, cancel a vote or give safety without power, which is a smaller weighting. And I guess you'll have to wait and see what actually those disadvantages are. But yeah, having those bigger advantages in like an idol or a super idol meant that we could, you know, really go ham with those disadvantages as well.
Yeah. And can you reveal if
I don't know.
Can you reveal if the scarcity of the advantage is there? So was there one super idol and now it's gone? Like, I mean, I won't ask you about the other, you know, idols, extra votes and stuff, but yeah, can you reveal about the super idol at least, or no?
Yeah, so there is only one super idol in the game, and so that will be gone. So that'll be crossed off the list when everyone else gets there. So again, sort of feeding into that sacrifice where maybe these advantages won't be as private as people think they are. There's more sacrifice than just the actual, the phantom votes or losing their votes. You'll see as the season progresses that having an advantage is more of a disadvantage than they might realize at first.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Very,
I
very
did want to
juicy.
ask, I wanted to ask you guys a question, and I can ask Liv this as well. If you were at the sacrifice zone and you're Mel or Michael, what advantages would you take? Would you take an advantage to begin with, and what advantage would you take?
Wow. That's a great question. Obviously Super Idol is so helpful as a get out of jail free card, some people call it, but you would have known that it would come with a really heavy cost. I think you shared potentially the other three as well on the socials, and they looked pretty harsh. So it would be a big commitment to say I might have this terrible thing happen to me that could alienate me from my tribe. The one that stood out to me was safety without power. I just like that advantage in general. So I think that one would be one that gives you safety. It gets you through the week anyway, or it gets you through the round, I should say. And it probably wouldn't come with a huge cost with it. So that for me, I think was the balanced one for me. That's what I would have gone with.
Yeah, I think if I were there, I think, how I said earlier, like the strategy of get an alliance. I would take the super idol, I think, and then tell my alliance and then be like, this is for our use. Like, if you want to waste it, I think that's a dumb decision. Keep me around, and this is for all of us. And, and it does expire at the final 7, which I feel like you've also weakened its power a little bit. So, then just say, vote me out at final 6 or whatever. So, I think I would have done that. I say that now watching, but in the moment.
That's the thing. It's hard in hindsight. Like, I would be like, oh, God, it's going to be a pretty bad sacrifice. But, like, well, that's pretty bad. That's a pretty bad sacrifice that Mel got. But I think I don't think I'd pick the super idol. But then in hindsight, maybe I would. I don't know.
Yeah.
Safety without power is pretty good as well, Mylo. I agree with you. But I think you'd have to go with something, Dan. Like, you wouldn't not take that.
No, yeah.
Oh, you would go for it for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people were asking in the chat. I don't know if you can see that, Mylo. I'm just reading the chat.
I'm not sure if you can see on the stream. Yeah. What were the other disadvantages not picked? I'm not sure if you have them on you, Dan.
Oh, yeah. So let's see if my memory is good or not. So we've got lose the 5 next votes. So they would lose the 5 next votes for each tribal council. 5 public votes. So they would have to announce their vote publicly and verbally before everyone else voted. And then the last one was
sitting out of challenges.
Yes, thank you. Sitting out of the next 5 challenges, I believe.
That's a bonus. So, that's an advantage.
Yeah, so that would have to be on top of any sit out. So like next immunity challenge, if someone had to sit out of the Kubadang tribe because they have more numbers, then they would have to sit someone else out on top of that if they had the sacrifice as well. So they would actually be down in numbers. Yeah. So, explaining that to your tribe, why you're sitting out of all of these tribe challenges when you should be helping them get immunity. I think was the fun thing with that. Like, it could be, a real detriment to that player having to be like, oh, well, bye. Like, I'm not helping you in this challenge. Good luck. And, don't vote me out though. Like, keep me in the game.
One of the funnest parts about that, because obviously we don't see, like, until it's edited, we don't see any of the conversations that have happened. And the funniest thing, Dan, can I just say as well, how amazing is Dan? Dan edited this whole thing. Like, it's amazing. He's just real good. Just wanted to give that little shout out.
Thanks, anyway.
But the conversation that Mel comes back to the tribe and she's like explaining it. And who was it that was like, she was really not explaining it very well.
Yeah.
I love that. But it was like she was telling the truth. It was just this long-winded like explanation. I
She
thought that
can't
was
even
great.
get away with the truth. Jeez.
Yeah,
What
I
a-
thought that was
what a-
so funny. I loved it.
Got a question from Aston. Were the love rocks implemented to allow the players to split up and strategize? Was that just a part of why you included them?
Yeah, I was listening to you guys talk about that, and you hit the nail on the head for sure. Like, it is a common problem in LRGs that, especially in the first portion of the game, that there is a lot of just kumbaya, campsite, small talk. People don't split up and get the chance to strategize and have those strategic conversations. So this was our way of trying to split people up, giving people an excuse to go and look for these rocks. Even if they didn't find them, it was just a way for us to, and they didn't find them in the first episode, obviously, just to go and have conversations and get that content that, we want to see in Survivor, that strategic conversation. It worked way better than we thought it would, didn't it, Liv? Like, when we actually started hearing stories and seeing the footage and people just running off like madmen, it really showed us that this is going to be a bunch of aggressive players that don't do anything they can do to win.
Yeah,
Because I would not be running off by myself. Look,
Just be careful. Your audio isn't great on my end. I'm not sure if that's me though.
yeah, me too. It might be your internet, Dan, or something. But yeah, I agree. It was pretty funny. And like, I think in a condensed game like that as well, it was a really good move because you don't have long to get footage and get people doing stuff.
You don't have 3 days. You have an hour or 2 hours to get them to start strategizing. So I thought, at least for that reason, like, ignoring even the advantage part of it, just to have people split up is so good. And especially on Kubadang, I loved seeing how people formed all together. That was quite fun.
Yeah. I mean, a bit sad we didn't see like a Keegan, Brad, pushover kind of.
Well, we might see that in the future. There's plenty of rocks still to come.
Yeah.
Dan's dropped out.
Yeah, he'll be back.
James wanted to push somebody, didn't he? So.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, how would we play the love
do
rock?
it? I don't think I would have done it very dissimilar to how they did it, honestly. I think I would look for them, but also socialize with people as I was doing it. I think it's a simple way to be friendly with people while still looking for an advantage of sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would have, exactly that. 100% would have made sure I was never with less than like half the tribe, like me and 3 others minimum. Like,
right.
Do not be in a small group.
Yeah. And I think someone made a comment, maybe it was Michael, I think it was Michael who said exactly that. He was like, we can't waste time in this game. Like, I think he said we can't make friends. We're not here to make friends. We can get to know each other, but we've got to get down to it.
No way in hell.
No, we would not run off by ourselves.
With the rocks, though, like, even if you found all 4, then don't they all get re-hidden? And then you have to find another 3 and then a 2 and then 1. So you're not even guaranteed like that advantage anyway. So like, if you run off and isolate yourself already, it might not even pay off. And then what's the advantage anyways? Like, is it good? Is it bad? Can you let us know?
It's a croissant. No, you'll find out.
That's overpowered. You can't have croissants. You're overpowered.
Croissants are very overpowered in this game, especially Survivor Canberra. That was the crazy thing about it. Like, people sort of going, "Oh, I need to find these rocks because this is gonna give me an advantage." It's like, well, there's 4 rounds, or 3 or 4 rounds of this. Like, even it's not a short-term fix to anything that's going on in the game. So that was even crazier about it, I think.
Oh,
got some love for Josh in the chat.
Thank you. Yeah, we would have been friends on your tribe. I like how, I don't know, you seem like you're just gonna like just say stuff to people's faces, be abrupt, and I love that. It's a bit like me, so.
That was one of the things that I loved about Jo, that because she's not a Survivor fan, right? She came in very just fresh, like not watching any Survivor, not knowing how Kim or Tony or Parvati played the game. She was just being herself, And I think like Joe's just a really funny person. And I just think that's so refreshing. And I think she's just hilarious. So yeah, keep watching for more hilarious Joe content.
I loved her cleaning trash. That was quite
Yeah.
fun. And actually, I think it happened in both times. Simon as well, but definitely cleaning trash instead of the rocks is quite good.
So the location, I thought the location was stunning.
Beautiful.
I thought
Yeah.
it was the best looking fan season I've seen for sure.
Yeah, especially the Winyu camp, just beautiful. The Kubadang camp, maybe not as beautiful, but still nice. But the Winyu camp, they were on sort of a little bit of a hill, and their surroundings with the big rocks and everything, yeah, just gorgeous, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what Canberra has to offer.
Yeah, Canberra's not all politics, guys.
Yeah. Season 1's like area was quite nice, but season 2 so far is looking quite visually impressive. I'm not sure. Is there there's no water like rivers around, right? In this one, I didn't notice any.
Not nearby. I think maybe Liv, you could tell me, but not nearby. I think there might be a creek running.
Not anywhere near where we were filming.
Not anywhere near. No, you won't see anyone being pushed into the water like James wants to. He might just have to push someone over on the ground or something.
Push someone into the water well, maybe.
What's that, sorry?
Push someone into the water well, potentially. That might be what we'll see instead.
Yes. Oh, yes, we will see some rain. It is a Survivor Canberra tradition that we will see rain. So, we can't escape that one either, apparently.
Fair enough.
I also wanted to ask you guys about Tribal. You guys host every Tribal. So when you're there, what goes through your head as the players are answering their questions? Do you have a suspicion who's going home yourself? Like, how does that work for you guys?
You can field this one, Liv.
Oh.
Like, honestly, I'm like, oh, can you guys just answer a question? I'm trying to get, in my mind, I'm like, how can I get some information? Because we don't really have, as Dan said earlier, like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I can't, because we're busy doing stuff like in between and whatever. And you hear people talk, like you hear crew and stuff talking, but yeah, I have no idea really what's going on. So I'm like genuinely trying to get something out of people. I'm like genuinely trying to work out what's happening. And I'm always trying to pick out, okay, who do I think could be going home? Who's leading this? Who's lying? Who's trying to, be really like cunning? I'm just genuinely trying to get stuff out of them. And at those first couple of tribals are always just everyone's being so, so sort of PC,
cagey,
dramatic, and
cagey.
Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, we want drama. No, like full transparency, we do get briefed before the tribal council, but sometimes it's wrong. Sometimes it's not even what's actually happening. It just depends on who the people that are briefing us have actually talked to. But Liv and I do, every time we go to the urn, we do have a little discussion about who we think's going to be voted out.
Yeah.
And sometimes we are wrong. Sometimes it's obvious. This one probably was a little bit more obvious. It did seem like Sam was on the outs. So I think we both sort of knew that was happening. And we just sort of wanted to get to the bottom of the tribe dynamics. I think that's our goal at Tribal Council. Liv, you might disagree, but yeah, for me, I'm just trying to get
but
some
it's
sort
hard
of...
to get that out of people sometimes.
Yeah, and especially early, as you said, I think people are cagey and they don't want to make mistakes, because if there's no reason to, as you said, Mylo and Josh earlier in the podcast, there's no reason to throw yourself under the bus if you don't need to. So people are going to be a bit safe early on, unless, they know they're specifically on the bottom and they're trying to fight for their life. But everyone else, there's no reason to rock the boat that early on. No,
as much as you would love people to be like, yeah, I've got connections with these people, I don't trust these people. It's just something, if you say out loud, it just paints a negative image of yourself. You look like someone who's spilling secrets. So how can I even trust you if you're going to say it at Tribal? So I understand the struggle of trying to get both information for yourselves, but also a good TV product, while people are not wanting to do that for you, because it's not good for their strategy necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. Well, that's a good
Got a chat
question.
question from James. Who would Mylo and Josh choose as their ride or die from the cast? I can tell you it won't be James. He's already voted me out of an LRG before, so
Oh.
definitely not James. I think a good person would be someone you can bounce off of, but also not get overpowered by. John is someone who's kind of James's ride or die at the moment. I think John would be a good alliance member to have, and also would like Haley as well. Those are the two that come to mind.
Yeah, for me, I think someone like Joe, maybe Mel, who I can sort of bounce off, have a bit of fun with, maybe bring out a bit of, bitchiness. Love that. But then sort of in a more maybe gameplay sense, someone like Michael, John, Nick. Oh, Nick. He's so cute. Love him. I think if I played with Nick, he would be like my Michael from my season. But then in this cast, I think someone else would have sort of beat me to the romance / showman. So I'd be getting cock blocked there, but that's fine.
I found it interesting that you named so many people, but I think it just shows how good the cast is. There's so many potential ride or dies in this cast. Who's to say just one?
Yeah, they're great. What can I say? Good casting.
Top notch. Do you guys have any other thoughts before we move on? Anything you wanted to say about this episode or even the season as a whole?
Well, I just want to say about the season, I think it is a great cast. They're definitely very competitive, passionate about Survivor bunch. They will do anything they can to win the game. So just get ready for a lot of drama, a lot of passionate gameplay. Maybe some scandals. Let's wait and see. But it is a great season, a great cast. And a lot of twists and turns along the way as well.
Yeah, I couldn't say anything any better. And it was heaps of fun to be a part of.
Apart from the rain. The rain can go away, but everything else.
Well, it makes it more... There's a lot of drama this season. I like it. It's very dramatic. It's good.
It is very dramatic. I like to equate this season to a telenovela. Just like a soap opera, like telenovela. And I like the fact that, and I think, filming season 3, not that we're getting to that stage yet, but every season has a very, very unique feel, very different from each other. It almost, feels like a different product in a way. You'll see that it's very different from season 1, in a lot of ways, which I think is good. It has a very unique feel.
Definitely better than having a bit of a been there, done that sense. It's good to change it up each season.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to see what mischief these people get up to, because we've definitely got some hardcore gamers in this cast. And some characters as well. Some people who might stir things up.
And thank you to you both for doing this. You were great listening to you on your recap. It was really fun to listen to your insights. Very interesting insights. And you guys did great. So thank you.
Nice. Thank you guys for being here as well. We appreciate it.
No problem at all.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah. Oh, I have to leave. Hang on.
I can.
I'm back.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just back. Do I just leave studio?
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Quickly before we get into anything else, we got something from Mel here. A little bit of a question for us. Really like the whole disadvantage aspect of the season as it helped us evolve our strategy. Would Josh and Mylo have enjoyed playing a season like this ourselves? I personally would say yes. I think this is a fun twist to play around. It's not annoying. It'll add drama, which I think is ideal. What's your thoughts, though?
Yeah, 100%. I would like to play a season like this. It would suck to end up, getting voted out because someone played an advantage on you. But then in the opposite way, you could come up with some iconic, creative way to really blindside someone with an advantage yourself. So, it's like you could end up being like an iconic player who made an iconic move, or you could be completely robbed. So it's like, it's that toss up. Are you going to be lucky or not? It's scary.
Totally. Yeah. All right. I think let's move into kind of just our moments and players of the episode, so to speak. I was just wondering what your funniest moment of this episode. If there was one moment you're going to be laughing at next time you see it, do you have a moment like that from this one?
I would probably say John's confessional about Simon. I liked that.
that was a moment for sure.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. Love when things get a little bit harsh, a little bit naughty, but still, not in a nasty way. But
not overly nasty. Yes.
Yeah, but it was good. I liked it.
I think my two favorite moments, if I'm allowed to have two, or funniest moments, I should say, James giving a love rock to John. That was quite fun. And then Jo dealing with the rubbish. She turned the camera at one point. She's like, "This is disgusting. Put you away." So that was quite fun as well. I love moments like that where it just kind of comes out of left field.
I love.
Yeah. Got a request from Aston for some awards for like our top 3 players of this episode. Have you had any thoughts about who your top 3 would be?
So is this in terms of like who played the best this episode? So
I think it could be either, honestly. I think it's up to your interpretation if it's your favorite characters or your favorite players. You could go either way, I think.
Okay, I'm gonna do it as in who I think played the best this episode, even if I like them or not. No, but I do like everybody. So
sorry, Freudian slip right there.
I do. So, I should have pre-planned this. Now I'm thinking. I would say probably James Gold, because he took control of the tribe, had a majority alliance, and was aware that, he was aware of the potential advantage or disadvantage of keeping Mel because she might have something, but he kept her in. And I think that will pay off for him. So he would be my gold.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think James would get my bronze as sort of like a third place best, because I agree with everything you just said then. But the only concern is he is a bit exposed right now, in the sense that people will probably notice. I think Anna even had a confessional saying, "I'm on to James. Like, I see what he's doing."
Yeah.
So I think he has the potential to be targeted. I think for Silver, if I can give it to a Coverdane member, I would say Nick, because I think he's in a great spot on his tribe. No one said they were after him. Seems to be in majority. So Nick for Silver, and then gold I'm actually going to give to Hayley. She didn't necessarily control this vote, but I just think she's in the best position on her tribe right now. So I think Hayley just gets my gold medal at least for this week. Do you have some runners up for yourself?
Yeah. So if James is my gold, I would say Silver. Probably Nick would be close, but I would actually say, I think Michael. Yeah, because he was, you can tell he's very switched on. He explained all the convoluted stuff in like a succinct way, seemed to be in the good graces of everybody, where Nick, love him, but he did have that kind of thing about Sophie that just something doesn't sit right with me. There's something going on there and it's stressing me out. So I think Michael, and with Michael also meeting up with Mel, he has, a potential cross-tribal alliance. And going forward, he could, work with Mel, or he could, when he gets info from the next people to go to the sacrifice zone, he could then be like, oh yeah, Mel has the super idol, or, whatever. So yeah, I would say Michael there. And then my bronze, I think Mel herself. She may be, have under a huge magnifying glass right now, but she's got a super idol. She survived the first vote, and I think going forward, I think she can survive again. Like, I think if Winu loses, I think Simon is gone.
And that ties right into what the next part is I was thinking, what's our predictions for the next episode? Who do we think could go on the tribes? What might happen in it? So you're saying you think Simon's gone if Winu loses?
Yes, I think that the strong, the 6 of Hayley, Joseph, Mel, John, James, Anna will be pulled in as, just a number. And then I think Simon, he's on his own. I think that Simon will maybe try to challenge James for dominance, and it's not going to work, unfortunately. Some people don't.
Nick is saying he loves you too.
Oh, love you, Nick.
Yeah, I agree mostly with that. Although I will say, I do think Anna is also a potential option because she voted for Mel. And we'll see how that plays out. Is she going to own up to it? Is that going to be a point of contention on that tribe? We'll have to find out. I'm not sure if you've seen the Next Time on Survivor thing that they've done. Have you seen that yet?
I did, but it's
totally
I watched
fine.
It, but I was like really hungover and probably still a little bit drunk. So you have to jog my memory.
There was 2 things we saw. We saw that Mel was telling her tribe that she received 2 votes automatically, not 3. So the numbers still won't necessarily add up, but maybe people won't catch on to that. And we also saw on Cuba Day, we saw Jo find the Love Rocks, and she says like she's going to maybe give them away in some way because she's got all 4 of them. She might pass them. Who knows how that'll play out? If Cuba Day loses, I think Grace is probably gone unless she can really turn it around the next episode. That's what it seems to be going towards.
Yeah. Well, it depends if Jo, not having seen Survivor, would see that majority huddle sort of already forming. And if Jo has the 4 Love Rocks, that's, she could split the tribe in half. She could, she's obviously going to give one to Malcolm, her seeming bestie, could pull in Grace. That's 3. Maybe she could pull in 1 extra person.
Wow.
And then say, let's, that's half the tribe. One of us gets an advantage. Maybe that advantage is an extra vote. And then they have majority. Who knows?
You're thinking of like a full takeover of the tribe on, I mean, that would be fun to watch, actually.
It could be a Tabitha's salon takeover. You never know. If anyone knows that show. No.
I'm just going to pretend that I knew what that was. Sorry.
I can't. But yeah,
that's... Yeah, all good. I think that's pretty much it for this episode. We've covered everything, had an interview with the host as well. I'm not sure if us 2 specifically will be back next week, but we'll do our best to make sure that we've got some good hosts here and try and get an interview happening as well. Hopefully with the eliminated player, but if not, we'll find someone else as well.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
No. Well, yeah, I guess just overall, really strong cast, amazing production quality, and yeah, it's off to a great start. So yeah, I'm excited to keep going and keep watching. And yeah, I'll try and do a little power rankings before the next episode.
Fun. Yes, I completely agree with those sentiments. Amazing first episode, and more importantly, it's shaping up to be an amazing season. If it keeps it up, this is probably going to be better than season 1. Sorry to say it. I think we might get there. I've been doing an Edgic if anyone wants to check that out. Josh says he's doing power rankings if you want to see that. But otherwise, Backbenchers will be back next week, I believe at the same time, right after Australian Survivor is over, to cover all the juicy stuff that happens in episode 2.
Yeah. And I, because I'm in WA, I haven't watched tonight's Australian Survivor yet. So thanks for not giving any spoilers, people. So once this is over, I'm watching that immediately.
No worries. All right, we'll see you guys later. Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks. Bye.